Welcome again. In this video, we'll shed some light on architectural patterns. It's very important to organize our code. We'll not just focus on output. Architectural patterns give us many benefits, and almost every framework offers several architectural patterns. It's our duty as a developer to choose the appropriate pattern for our project. Our main concern is to separate our codes into smaller chunks so that this small chunk acts separately and independently, and our program will not break in future if we add new features to our program. Let's consider a case where we want to download some data based on some queries or user inputs from the server. Then process or convert that data to make it suitable for our UI components to show that data to the user. We can write a single component, a class or a function, which will consist all the codes it requires to perform our job. So we can write a giant function or class that is responsible for taking user inputs, validate them, send our input to the server, receive response from the server, process that response, and finally show output to the user. If everything is done perfectly, our program will run successfully. But if you look carefully, we put a lot of responsibilities to our class or function. This goes against the single responsibility principle. A class or function should have only one responsibility and only one reason to change. If any change occurs in any part of this program, we have to come back again and again to that class or function to change accordingly. The good practice is when we write a function or create a class, we do this in such a way that we only extend it, not modify it. In our example, instead of writing a giant single function or class, we can separate it into other components. One component will be responsible for interact with the user inputs and show data. Another component will process the downloaded data, and another component will fetch data from our server. In this way, any change in any component will not affect the other components. In general, architectural patterns in software development offer several benefits like improved design, code reusability, better communication, it reduces complexity, flexibility, it increases quality, etc. In both of our projects, we will adopt the most popular model view controller architectural pattern, where view is our UI component. Model is typically our data source, and controller acts as a bridge which is responsible to communicate with model and view. Besides this core pattern, it may require some extra layers in between them or tweak the existing layer a bit if we need it's necessary for better clarification. For example, repository or a service component falls into this extra layer, and sometimes our controller can behave like a view model, which takes an extra responsibility to notify user interfaces for any data change, hence resulting in a model view model pattern. Whatever pattern we choose, we get benefited from it, and these are the good practices that every developer should follow.